Good afternoon. Please stand for the posting of colors by Battery Creek High School Marine ROTC cadets and remain standing for the national anthem by Tiana Alston, Angel Chisholm, and Myra Smith.
Color guard, attention, carry, colors. Ready, cut, forward, march. Left, turn, march. Color guard, up. Present, colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Carry, colors. Ready, cut. Left, turn, march. Forward, march. Color, home. Order, color. Ready, cut. Color guard, pull up.
We will now have the welcome by ADRIANA MIRELEZ.
Good afternoon, parents, teachers, faculty, staff, and the Battery Creek family. Welcome to our annual Black History program. We've come at this hour to remember and honor Black pioneers who have paved the way to bring us where we are today. How good is it to see all of you here this afternoon to share with us as we reflect on the history, heritage, and culture of our country. Persons such as Marie Von Britton Brown, the inventor of the home security system in 1966, Madam C.J. Walker, an entrepreneur who built her empire developing hair products for Black women, Dr. Charles R. Drew, an African-American physician who developed ways to process and store blood plasma in blood banks, John Merker Langston, the first dean of the law school at Howard University and the first president of what is now Virginia State University, a historically Black college, Aliyah Gibson, the first Black woman to win in the U.S. Open Tennis Championship and won again in 1958, and many other Black and white who gave us hope for better race relations in these United States of America, and a willingness to press on for equal rights for all America's citizens to have not only access but inclusion in meaningful decision-making in the American system that affects all of its citizens. We trust that you will be even more enlightened about contributions Afro-Americans have made to America and to the world after our presentations. Again, we welcome you.
Next, we will we will have 2 musical selections by our Battery Creek High School varsity band directed by Mr. Roderick Williams.
Listen, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you. Let's give the round of applause for the great performance. Now, we will have our presentation of our panel participants. First, Ms. Brianna Solis will introduce Ms. Sophia McKen, currently a student at the University of South Carolina in Bluffton and a 2020 graduate at Battery Creek High School.
Sophia McKeon is 18 years old. She graduated from Battery Creek High School in 2020 and now is a freshman at the University of South Carolina in Bluffton. Ms. McKeon is an information science and technology major and will be graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in 2024. She tends to become a professional librarian once she gets her master's degree in library science. Ms. McKeon recently declared a minor in creative writing since she loves to read and write. She thinks her major and minor complement each other nicely. Mr. Copeland, the Battery Creek media specialist, partly inspired her to become a librarian. She spent a lot of time in the Battery Creek High School library and really admired how he helped the kids at the school with all aspects of life. not just with reference materials and checking out books. She was lucky to have Mr. Copeland as a role model. Ms. McKeon decided to get a degree in library science because ever since she was a child, she loved reading and learning new things. She knows it sounds corny, but she always loved to learn and encourage others to learn. She cannot wait to work in a library to provide the community with a place to expand their minds. She feels it would be amazing to host community events that encourage literacy among the residents of Beaufort County. As far as hobbies go, Ms. McKeon likes reading mystery novels, walking her chihuahua, dancing in her room, and traveling. But because of the current pandemic, she often finds herself taking walks around her college campus so she won't get bored. With Black History Month, she thinks it's important to recognize her heritage and honor the life and the work of people who made it possible for us to succeed. As an African American female in America, she recognizes how important her history is and acknowledges that she owes her successes to her ancestors who endured hardships she didn't have to endure. I present to you Ms. Sophia McKeon, our first guest for today.
Hi, my name is Sophia McKeon, and I'm a college freshman who graduated from Battery Creek in the class of 2020. You may be asking yourself why I have been asked to speak today. I asked myself the same thing when Ms. Hampton called me a few months ago. I don't have any sort of professional standing. I'm not a teacher, athlete, or doctor. What qualifies me to speak to you? After giving it some thought, I realized I was asked here today because I am you. I can only give you what I have, my experiences. Maybe by sharing what I've learned and experienced as far as racism goes. In my short span of 19 years, I can relate to you and let you know that our struggles are one and the same. I moved to Beaufort, South Carolina when I was 14 years old, the summer of when I will be starting high school. So I can't really give an accurate depiction of growing up in Beaufort when the past 14 years of my life were spent in Tampa, Florida. I can, however, explain how my upbringing and experiences in the school system in both places have worked together to influence who I am. I was born to an interracial couple. My mother is Black and my father is white. Because I never looked like just one parent, I think I've always been fairly understanding of race issues in America. I do understand that I don't look African American like my mom, and therefore it'd be unfair and ignorant for me to say that I've endured the same level of racism as people of obvious African American descent, because I haven't. But racism against people of color is still prominent in America, and I have had my fair share of experiences. And growing up in Tampa, when my dad used to drop me off at school, which was predominantly white and Hispanic, classmates would ask if I was adopted, which was a little embarrassing. When I met with my dad in general, some people make jokes to my dad about how it's obvious that my mother is a person of color, with me standing there. And in elementary school, I used to get teased a lot about my hair because it was so curly and unruly, and I didn't know how to take care of it. When I moved to Beaufort, I had my fair share of negative racial experiences as well. For example, sometimes when my sister and I look around stores in downtown Beaufort just for fun, we're followed around the store for no reason. Another time specifically, my sister and I were forced to leave a gym after we asked for a membership. The lady at the counter said we wouldn't know how to use any of the equipment and we wouldn't blend in with the people who go to the gym. What I'm trying to get at here is that racism is everywhere in Beaufort, Tampa, and everywhere else in between, and that it's not exclusive to any group of people. I've never been to a place where racism and prejudice wasn't evident. I know I am not unique to doubting myself about my physical appearance, but I'd be lying if I said my unique racial circumstances and experiences didn't have a negative effect on how I viewed myself. Until I got to high school, being mixed was a bit confusing because I thought I couldn't relate to anybody. However, when I came to Battery Creek, I gradually stopped feeling bad about my appearance. In the hallway, I saw people who looked a bit like me and people who didn't. I stopped beating myself up about my hair, my uneven skin tone, etc. Some people even complimented the features I thought that made me ugly. And simply by chance, I'd say that moving to Beaufort overall and coming to Battery Creek improved my self-esteem about my racial background, even though I've had some sort of racist experiences here. Because I was surrounded by diversity in school, and as time passed, I accepted how I looked. I realized that I didn't care anymore about others' opinions. Yes, I am black, and yes, I am white. But moreover, I'm Sophia, a girl who likes mystery novels, record players, and dancing. A person with aspirations and dreams and goals. And a person who embraces every part of what makes her unique. I still, like everybody else, struggle with my identity, hearing a little voice telling me to change who I am, based on who I'm around. But then I remember, I don't owe my identity to anybody. You don't have to feed into any stereotype, and your skin color doesn't define who you have to be, nor who you can be. So, my advice on improving race relations in school for students would be to talk to more people you normally wouldn't talk to. I think that teachers and administrators should continue to strive to embrace diversity in school, as Battery Creek has done. Students should be encouraged to meet and understand new people and to recognize the beauty of diversity. It's easy to default to making friends who look just like us, but I challenge you to break that mold. Please don't let skin color be your limitation. Open yourself up to new people and new things, and I can guarantee you that you'll surprise yourself. You'll see yourself and others in a beautiful new light. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you, Ms. McKeon, for inspiring words. Please join me in welcoming our very own Battery Creek High School Theater Arts Department, reciting The Hills We Climb by Amanda Gorman, presented by our staff and students.
When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just is isn't always just is.
And yet the dawn is ours. Before we knew it, somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken,
but simply unfinished.
We are the successors of a country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and was raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man.
And so we lift our gazes.
Not to what stands between us,
But what stands before us.
We close the divide because we know that to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside.
We lay down our arms so that we can reach out our arms to one another.
We seek harm to none.
Harmony for all.
Let the globe, if nothing else, say that this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we helped.
That even as we tired, we tried.
That we'll forever be tied together victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division.
Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promise to glade, the hill we climb.
If only we dare, it's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it.
We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it.
Would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded.
But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption we feared at its inception.
We did not feel prepared for the airs for such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power.
So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us?
We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be.
A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation.
Our blunders become their burdens.
But one thing is certain, if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright.
So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left with.
Every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the windswept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south.
We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every nook of our nation and every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge, battered and beautiful. When the day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it.
If only we're brave enough to beat it.
Thank you. Please join with a warm applause for such an emotional and heartfelt performance. Now we will have JAMARIE Simmons Robinson introduce our final guest speaker this afternoon, Mr. Sylvester L. Jenkins, warden at the Federal Correctional Institution in Miami and a 1994 graduate of Battery Creek High School.
Sylvester L. Jenkins is a native of Beaufort County and a 1994 graduate of Battery Creek High School. Mr. Jenkins began his career in 1998 at the Federal Correctional Institute, Esther, South Carolina, as a correctional officer. In the year 2000, he joined Unicor as an electrical foreman and has held numerous positions, including production controller, industrial specialist, and process improvement specialist at Unicor SCI Esther. In 2007, he attended Lean Six Sigma and training in Woodbridge, Virginia, where he attained his black belt certification from Virginia Tech. He became the third staff member at Unicor and to achieve this honor. In 2012, he was selected as Superintendent of Industries and Education at SCI Talladega. In 2013, Sylvester L. Jenkins was promoted as to Associate Warden, Industrials and Education at FCC Yazoo City. And in 2017, he assumed the position of Associate Warden SNE. And in July 2019, Mr. Jenkins was promoted as SCI in Miami. Mr. Jenkins studies criminal justice at Technical College of the Low Country in Beaufort, South Carolina. He also served a proud member as the United States Marine Corps. I present you Mr. L. Jenkins as our final speaker today.
Hello, Battery Creek. First, let me tell you that it's truly an honor to be a part of your Black History program. My name is Sylvester Jenkins, as you all probably heard from my bio. And I just want to reflect back a little bit on how life was for me graduating from Battery Creek in 1994 and how it has had an impact on my career now with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So in 1994, Battery Creek was a little bit different than your average high school with regards to race relations. I think that growing up in a military town made a huge difference as far as being diverse and understanding different cultures. So we were exposed to a lot of different races, a lot of different people, being in a military town. And I think you could probably say the same for Beaufort High as well. So when I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, you saw that in the Marine Corps, although the Marine Corps is diverse, you have people from all walks of life. And the only way to mend those relationships and to learn more about the individuals that you're around is to explore and learn about their cultures, the part of the countries that they may be from. And I can tell you a personal story. When I went to motor transport school in 1995, my roommate, who was from upstate Pennsylvania, he and I stayed in a room for approximately 3 months together. And it took us probably 2 months before we spoke to each other, simply because he was from upstate Pennsylvania and I was from South Carolina. And just not understanding each other, you know, he felt a certain way, I felt a certain way. And through music, believe it or not. One day I came into the room and he had a country song playing, and I started reciting some of the lyrics from the song, and he sat up in the rack and he said, how do you know that song? And I explained to him that just because I'm African American does not mean that I do not listen to country music. And just moving forward on that story, that conversation with my roommate wound up being the bridge that we needed to become very good friends, and that friendship lasted throughout my military career. And if I saw him today, I would still consider him to be a very, very close friend. So it just kind of shows that, you know, understanding the people that you're around, it helps you to gain a mutual respect for those individuals. So fast forward to 1998, I joined the Federal Bureau of Prisons as a correctional officer at FCI Estill, that's in South Carolina. And when I joined the Federal Bureau of Prisons in 1998, I had no idea that I would ever do anything more than be a correctional officer. As a matter of fact, I can remember having conversations with the people that I started with, and I said, hey, look, if I don't get promoted here at FCI Estill, then I probably won't get promoted, because I did not have plans to leave Beaufort, South Carolina at the time, because I was comfortable with the diversity that we had in Beaufort, being from a military town. I'm very proud of the fact that I cannot say that we have experienced a whole lot of racial issues in Beaufort, South Carolina. Although we may have differences, we have mutual respect for each other. And so I learned to never say never from that conversation, because people wind up taking an interest in you, or they see potential in you, even when you don't see it in yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was asked to be challenged, you know, from some folks that worked in Washington, D.C. They challenged me to put in for jobs that would of greater responsibility. And I became a factory manager. And through that, later on, I became a production controller. I became a superintendent of industries, an associate warden, and now I'm in the position as warden. And I'll just kind of take you on my path to that happening, moving around the country and coming into contact with different people in different regions. It taught me about their culture and how they live in those areas. The first tour that I had, I wound up moving to Alabama, Talladega, Alabama. And you learn really quick that it really has a true rich Southern culture. In that area, during the civil rights area, they played a crucial role in that state. With some of the rights that we currently have right now. So that's embedded in the culture in that area. When I left Alabama, I went on to Mississippi, and I stayed in Mississippi for almost 6 years as an associate warden. Very, very unique place, and I would arguably say probably my best tour. And the reason I'm going to say that it was my best tour, because you actually had individuals there that had family members that fought in the civil rights era, and doing Black History programs like the ones that you're having, it was not really hard to get those individuals to come out and speak to the staff. And so you were hearing it from people that actually had a part in the civil rights area, which was very, very insightful to all. And again, it gave individuals an opportunity to learn more about the people that they work with on a day-to-day basis, which ultimately allows you to have more respect for that person and the culture that they believe in. The other part of that is they have a very rich blues culture in that area. So I really enjoyed being out there. Now, so let's move forward to where I am now as warden at FCI Miami. I've been there for almost a year and a half now. And I'll tell you, Miami is a melting pot where you have different races, different cultures, people from different countries. And when I got there, I really didn't know what to expect, and before long, my staff had me trying different food, listening to different music. And I just embraced the culture in that area, learning more about the people that I was around. And they wanted to know more about me as well. They wanted to know about the Gullah Geechee culture that we have in Beaufort, South Carolina. And I share that with them when we have a diversity day in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, where we take a day and we highlight different cultures at the institution. And that may be done through doing a talent show. You can set up different displays, things of that nature. So I'll tell you that I work in a very, very unique place. And not only for the staff, but it's very unique for the inmates as well. And we allow the inmates to put on programs where they get an opportunity to showcase their culture as well. And they put on plays and things of that nature for the inmate population. And I'll also share this with you just to kind of give you a little insight, because I know TV depicts prison as being one thing, but it's completely different when you work there on a daily basis. Prison is like its own city. And along with that, we have a lot of different job opportunities, things of that nature. We have our own hospital. We have our own facilities department that goes through and they fix the ACs, they do the electrical work, they do the plumbing work, and you have staff members that specialize in these different positions, and then you have inmates that are trained to assist the staff members in working in these areas as well. So it gives us an opportunity to prepare the inmate population for return back to society and give them a skill when they return so they can be successful and not return back to prison. So that's been very unique. And I'll tell you, when I was in Talladega, Alabama, I was a superintendent of industries and I was over the education department. So I was the equivalent of a high school principal when I was at Talladega. So I spoke at all the graduations, the teachers and the supervisor of education, they all fell under my leadership, and we did a lot of creative things to help the inmates learn. A lot of these guys come in with roughly 8th grade education, some of them even lower than that, where they have to go into special learning needs classes, and so you go back and you look at it and you say, wow, you would think that all individuals have the opportunity to gain a good education, but not everyone comes from the same place. And some of these individuals, they came from broken families, things of that nature. And we don't make excuses for the inmates, but we do understand that a lot of them come from different walks of life, and we must meet those challenges by providing different programs for them. And our SLN program is one of them. Our special learning needs, where we have individuals that are not learning at the same pace as everyone else, but believe it or not, they have tutors that help them when they go back to their cells. And I've seen a lot of these individuals go from reading on a 4th or 5th grade level to where in 2 to 3 years they're graduating and they're getting their GED. and they're able to go back home and gain employment because they've gained their GED, or it allows them to then get into our vocational trades programs as well. So that's something that I'm very proud of. Even as associate warden, when I went to Yazoo City, I was also over the education department there as well. And I really, that's one of the parts about my job that I truly enjoyed by helping the inmates. And I had a staff member ask me about 10 years ago what my true passion was in life. And I told them that my true passion is to help people, regardless if that's an inmate or staff member trying to promote through our agency, or it could be someone that's trying to come in to our agency. And I want to be able to give back. I know where I came from. I know that that there's a lot of people that are probably surprised that I am in the position that I am in right now. But it's not because I didn't have the potential. The path that I was on when I was in high school probably wasn't the greatest path. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, and I'm not sure if there's a lot of teachers around from when I was at Battery Creek, but we were never disrespectful. But what we did do is we fought each other. And I'll be the first to tell you that my life could have been completely different based on a decision that I made when I was in high school, where a group of us decided that we were going to fight, and it was planned. We planned to fight. Two different groups were going to fight, and on that day, we fought. And this was the first time that this had ever happened to any of us. But on that day, the school decided that they were going to press charges, and we were all arrested and taken to jail. Now, the thing that was very unique about us going to jail was we were actually charged with a felony, inciting a riot. That is a felony charge. So I would not have been able to join the Marine Corps had I been charged, convicted of that charge. I would not have been able to work for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I definitely would not be a warden right now. But I had a assistant high school principal that cared enough about us where he went to the judge and he asked that those charges be dropped down to a misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct. And that was Dr. Richard Morrison, a lifelong friend that so many of us that graduated during that time, we love him to death, and he took care of a lot of us. So I am very grateful, because my life could have been completely different had it not been for someone caring for me. So I'm going to ask you all to not make those mistakes that we made, because you won't always get an opportunity to recover or have that second chance that I had to get my life turned around. And I share those stories with the inmate population to let them know that although I am the warden of the institution, my life could have been very much the same as theirs, because I was headed down the same path. But, when I got to the fork in the road, I decided that, hey, look, going to prison is not for me. I need to get my act together. And that's exactly what I did, because I always had goals for myself. It's just a matter of someone being there to give you the opportunity to fulfill those goals. And that's exactly what I am trying to do, to pay it forward, because someone did it for me. So I want to be able to give back to the community. As a matter of fact, while we're on that topic, I can retire in 2.5 years. And I am looking to come back home to Beaufort. And when COVID breaks and I get an opportunity to come by to school, I'd like to pose to the administration of possibly adding a class for corrections in the school to get young kids interested in corrections, the field of corrections, because in my opinion, there's so many different opportunities. You don't have to come in and just be a correctional officer, which I'm proud that I started as a correctional officer, because that's my foundation. But there's so many different opportunities that you can take. Our current director for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, he started as a correctional officer as well. So we're a very unique agency where you can start at the bottom and work your way all the way up. So I have a plan in which I think that we can offer a program for, and it could be an elective for the students at the school, and it'll do a couple different things. I mean, it'll get the kids involved in corrections at a very, very early age, and then at the same time, it helps corrections as a whole because it will create a pool of potential applicants moving forward. Excuse me, to fill in those jobs and those positions as they get through college, if that's what they decide to do. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, and that's one way that I want to be able to give back to Battery Creek. This is my first time recording a presentation. I wish that I could be there with you all. I would like to say, Ms. Hampton, thank you so much for the invite. Mr. Ryan Copeland, this was challenging for us to get this done because I'm on the road right now. I'm at the United States Penitentiary in Atlanta, and I'm covering up here for the next few months. So I'm on the road right now. I didn't bring my personal laptop, but we were able to get this done, and I am so glad that I could be a part of your Black History program. I will tell you all, I believe in paying it forward. So if any of the students have any questions about corrections or they're interested in corrections, my email address is s1jenkins, JENKINS @BOP.gov. So if you are interested in corrections, we are recruiting. And that could be after college, or if you decide that you just want to come into the field of corrections and you have any questions, you could definitely reach out to me, send me an email. Again, I want to say thank you. I really do appreciate the opportunity. And as soon as COVID is gone, I would like to come to the school to talk to you all face to face. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, for such words of wisdom. Now I welcome Brooke Crosby to present our question of the day and poster contest winners.
At this time, it is my pleasure to recognize the winners of the daily question contest and the poster contest. The daily question winner is the poster contest winner is Please join me in giving them a hand for a job well done. Thank you.
Acknowledgements will now be done by Haley Maroney.
At this time, we would like to recognize and thank all of you for your presence at our annual Black History program. Thank you for sharing your day with us. We also would like to thank our guests for taking time from their busy schedules to share inspiring words with us in this virtual platform. Ms. Kazithia Wright for the programs. Ms. April Lang for monitoring and receiving the daily responses for the question contest. Ms. Chernesha Watkins and her cafeteria staff members for today's Black History lunch. Ms. Latrika Brown and Ms. Barbie Langman for assisting with the gifts. We would also like to thank Mr. Roderick Williams, Gunny Robert Shannon, First Sergeant Troy James, Ms. Sarah Hollenbeck, Ms. Patricia Anderson, Ms. Tanya Simmons, Ms. Sherry Wofford, Ms. Patty Stowe, and their students for participating this year. Chef Gregory Leitner and our culinary arts students for the enlightening class presentation on soul food versus slave food. Mr. Ryan Copeland for tech support and our social media presence in this video.
Now we will have remarks by our principal, Mr. Chad Cox. He will share remarks at this time.
Hope everybody's having a great day, and I hope you enjoyed our Black History program. This is a tradition at Battery Creek High School that we'd love to carry on, and I just want to say a special thank you to Ms. Hampton and Ms. Katia Gilbert for making this possible. Same to Mr. Copeland, and to our guest speakers, thank you. It is our honor to have this program every year. We're proud of it, and I'm proud of everybody that stepped up to be involved in this. A pandemic could not stop this from going on. So we appreciate you. We appreciate all the knowledge we gained, and thank you very much. Hope everybody has a great day.